Hello, everybody. Welcome back for by-elections to Roundup today, having had the week off last week. The first set of by-elections post-local elections that happened, obviously, a fortnight ago. And before we get into it, just a quick shameless plug of the X account. Again, like I've said, I've been ramping up the usage of this a little bit. We've got over 1,300 followers now on X. So please do go over and follow @_electwatch@UK. This one, there you go. If you do use X, go and follow. I put up a by-election preview on a Thursday, did it this week. This is the second one I've done. So just a little brief preview of each of the wards, a little bit of info about the local area, any electoral history that's interesting, stuff like that, really. Because I found doing the preview videos I used to do back in the day, you kind of, they dragged a little bit. So they're on there anyway. Do go over and follow if you use X, that is, of course. And now we will get straight into those graphs. First one then is Bridport in Dorset, down on the south coast, and it's a Liberal Democrat hold here. Last election in 2024. Sorry, I've forgotten to move the position of the last election tab. It's right behind where the subscriber count is, so I apologise for that. Last election was 2024. Turnout 43% here, which is pretty good. Look, Liberal Democrat hold is pretty much predictable, to be honest with you. I think most of the results this week are quite predictable, maybe with the exception of one, which we'll see shortly, of course. But yeah, Lib Dems, they got 43.6% of the vote. Very, very comfortable hold for them. And then behind them, Reform and the Greens kind of battling out for second place. Interesting to see Reform, who had a quiet week this week, but they did manage to beat the Greens here, which is interesting. Look, the Greens had a seat on this ward before the 2024 election. The Liberal Democrats gained it off of them, so the ward's changed actually. It's now a 3-seat ward. I don't know if it was before. If it was, then it would have been 2 Lib Dems and a Green. Then after the 2024 election, it was 3 Liberal Democrats. So interesting to see the Greens being pushed back down into third place by Reform here, which is interesting to see. And of course, that narrative I was talking about, wasn't I, pre-election? About are the Lib Dems, do they have a blind spot with the Greens? Well, I stand by my reasoning. I do think they have quite a similar voter base, but I think things feel like they're sliding for the Greens a little bit at the moment. Now, get in the comments, let me know what you think, of course, as always. But it feels like they had a big surge of momentum going into the local elections, but then a week into up to the local elections, just started having some bad news stories and things, and it just feels like some of the wind has come out the sails of the Green Party at the moment. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. But yeah, interesting to see Reform there push them back down into third place, but Reform a long way behind the Liberal Democrats as well. Not too surprised to see that. This result actually reinstates the Liberal Democrats' majority control of Dorset, so they now have a majority of 1 on Dorset Council. So I'm not surprised that they held on to it down here. I wasn't expecting it to be all that close. If anybody was going to challenge, I would have thought it might have been the Greens. Let's have a look at how the vote share changed. And there you go. Same story as it generally is. I mean, the Reform didn't stand here before, so they're straight into 23.2, a big sort of gain for them. The Greens down 10%, or 10 points, sorry, actually nearly 11 points. Like I say, just feels like the wind's come out their sails a little bit lately. But also the Conservatives down 7 points, and Labour didn't stand this time, which is why they're down 6.5. So, yeah, Tories down 7 points. It's interesting. It's inconsistency for the Tories. We'll see in a minute what I mean by that. In fact, we'll get straight over to that now. So this was a good hold for the Liberal Democrats. Next up, we're going to go to Fylde in the northwest. And you can see straight away, as we come onto this graph, the stonking performance of the Conservative Party here. Very, very impressive from them. You can see down the bottom there, Conservative gain from the Independents. Now, this is a Conservative-controlled council, Fylde, so it is a part of the country where they've done well, or they do well. And this ward was, until today, entirely represented by Independents. They won all 3 seats. I think it's 3 seats. I can't remember 3 or 2, but they won all seats on this ward at the last election in 2023. But look, massive result for the Conservative Party here. I have to say, I thought Reform would win this. That northwest area, particularly up, it's a bit further north from here. If you go up into Blackpool and Fleetwood, that sort of area is very strongly Reform. I thought Fylde would also go that way, but it seems that the Conservatives have a little holdout here in the north, well, particularly in this ward. I mean, let's not extrapolate too much, but a very, very strong performance from them. Let's not take anything away from them. Nobody else really worth talking about. I mean, Reform themselves were way behind. The Conservatives getting over 60% of the vote. Turnout here 34% as well, which is not too shabby for a local election, for a by-election. Let's go and have a look at the vote share change then. So you can see the story. Independent last time got a massive share of the vote, I think about 70%. Well, no, 64% because they weren't standing. So they're down 64% or 64 points this time. So all that vote share was up for grabs. And like I say, I thought that Reform would take the lion's share of it, but they didn't. They took 10 points less, 5 points less than the Tories did. And the Tories are up almost 34 points. So they managed to get that independent vote. So look, very, very impressive result for the Conservatives, don't get me wrong. But like I said on that when we look at the last graph, it's inconsistent from them, isn't it? I mean, you'll see on Twitter, I'm sure people will be, Conservative accounts will be crowing about this, and so they should, of course. But they also lost, I mean, it wasn't that much in all fairness, it was a small share, but they were down in vote share in Dorset. And we've seen this so far in 2026. They've had some good holds. They've had very few gains. Obviously, this is a big gain for them. But they've mostly had good holds with a small declining vote share. Here and there, they've seen an increasing vote share. Like I say, not many gains for the Tories so far this year. But this one's a big gain. But then on other weeks, they'll go down by this much. We just saw what happened at the local elections 2 weeks ago. They got really, really badly taken out by Reform in East Anglia, down on the south coast in Sussex as well, both of the Sussexes. But then they did have a few good stories in London. They held off Reform in East London in Bexley and Bromley, and they beat Labour in Westminster and got largest party in Wandsworth. So look, they're just a bit, like I say, they're a bit of a mixed bag at the moment, a bit inconsistent. It depends where you are in the country, I think. I still think they're in a big, big crisis. But we'll see what happens after this week. Maybe, I seem to say it every time they have a good result. Maybe this is the start of the comeback, but then it never seems to be. So anyway, look, a good result for them in Fylde. Let's not take it away from them, gaining off the independents and comfortably beating Reform here. Next up, we go to Lancaster, Castle Ward, and again, it's a very, very clear by the bar that somebody's had a very good performance here. Look. Ignore that turnout figure. That shouldn't be saying that. I've forgotten to clear it out the field. I don't know what the turnout is, actually. I expect it's probably quite low. But before we get into that, a very, very big win for the Green Party here in Lancaster. Look, it's a university town or city. This ward is, I believe, quite close to the university as well. So it is a student vote. They won it with 65% of the vote last time in 2024. And this time they won it with 70% of the vote. So, look. Strong green area in a university town in a particularly student area, which is why the turnout's quite low. Last time, I believe the turnout in the last election in 2024 was a by-election as well, by the way. I believe the turnout was about 15%, 1.5. The turnout in the actual university ward, there's a ward called University, the turnout was 6%, and that was at the full election. So look, students, they vote green, but actually most of them don't bother turning out to vote. So I don't know what the turnout was. If you know it, please do get in the comments, let me know. There's not really too much to talk about on this one, guys. Honestly, we're going to have a quick look at the vote share change. Look, Labour down 11 points just goes to show that they're in deep trouble with the student vote, really. But I mean, they weren't in the race anyway, given the Greens' big lead. But look, interesting to see Reform up 11 points. They seems like they took a decent chunk out of that Labour vote. The Greens actually did increase by 5 as well. Look, there's nothing to say. It's a comfortable Green win in an area you would expect them to win. So I think with that, we should just move straight on to the last by-election. And here it is, the final one for this week. And there's a little glitch there in how the name is processed clearly. This should be at the top here, Alfric, Lee and Rushwick, which is in Malvern Hills Council. Those of you who watched the channel will know 3 weeks ago we were there for another by-election that Reform won on that occasion, where you can see here the Liberal Democrats have won, but on a very, very low vote share. I mean, 26% of the vote, just under. Look, we've become used to seeing elections won these days in the mid to low 30s. That is the era of politics we're in. But this is low even by our standards. It has happened. There is a couple of, I think there was a ward in the local elections that just happened that was won by about this amount. Look, this is the era we're in. It's the opposite of polarised. It's multi-party. And this is a great example of that. So Liberal Democrats squeak home with 26% of the vote. The Conservatives in 22% of the vote in second place, ahead of Reform. Again, look, they've had their win up in Fylde and they'll be happy to get second place over Reform here as well. And then Reform in third, and Independent in fourth as well. And you can see between those four, only 9 points in it. So actually even less than that. So look, yeah, very tight here. A turnout of 38% is not too shabby for a local council by-election. Let's go and have a look at the vote share change. So look, there's the story. Malvern Hills Independent, same as a few weeks ago actually. Malvern Hills Independent stood down from the council. They didn't stand a candidate this time, so all of that whopping 80% of the vote almost was up for grabs, and basically everybody got their share of it. Look at it. I mean, it's everybody pretty much getting a very similar amount. Reform actually got the most. They were up almost 20 points, having not stood previously, of course. The Lib Dems and the Independent both got, 16.5 for the Lib Dems and 17 almost for the Independent. Conservatives up almost 11, and the Greens again also up almost 11. So it's very difficult to tell really what's going on here. It's clearly a very split ward, or based on the 38% of people who have turned out to vote anyway. There's a lot going on here. Very difficult in isolation, I think, to take too much from it. But look, this is a Worcestershire area, rural. Bear in mind, Reform won the Worcestershire County Council election last year with the largest party. It's been a bit turbulent over there. Obviously, they lost control of the council in the last week as well. Conservatives and the Greens doing a deal, much to the chagrin of the Conservative leadership, who have suspended the leader of the Tories there. So it's all go. And this ward clearly is very undecided on what the best way forward is. What can you say? I mean, Reform took the most, but there's not much in it. The Tories and the Lib Dems both up, and they had a platform to build on, which is why they came first and second, I suppose. I think, look, we can't take too much from this. It's so split. It's so indecisive, really, from the electorate here. Very, very split. And to go back to the main graph there, 26% of the vote, like I say, is a very small vote share to win with. So, look, I wouldn't be surprised if this one changes hands next year when this is next up for election. We're a bit early to talk about next year's local elections, but next year's are big. Now, this year's were big, but next year's are really big. So, obviously, this year we had the Welsh and Scottish Parliaments electing. Well, next year we've got most of the English councils that elected this year will be electing again because they only elect by thirds. So, they'll be electing another third next year. And then we've also got a whole host of councils in England, Malvern Hills among them, who elect a whole council next year. So we've got full council elections as well on top of the thirds. So there's going to be a lot changing hands, I expect, next year. We've also then got every local council in Scotland and every local council in Wales also electing. So that's going to be a huge set of local elections. So if this sort of stuff excites you and you've got this far into the video, please do come and subscribe and hit the notification bell. We do these by-election roundup videos every week. And then this year we did our first live stream for the actual local election results as they came in. It was very, very good, successful, fun. We all enjoyed it. So hopefully I'll be able to do it again next year as well. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of that. I'm also working on something behind the scenes that's come together a little bit quicker than I thought it was going to. I'm hoping to debut it soon. So again, make sure the notification bell is hit so you don't miss it. It'll be in one of these by-election roundup videos where it's debuted, because that's going to be its main use. But I'm hoping, once it's fully functional, that it will be able to be used for that local election next year as well on the live stream. So that's fun. I'm excited about it. I think you guys will appreciate it. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you guys for watching. If you got this far in the video, please do leave a like as well. And of course, as always, get involved in the comments. And I will see you next week for another by-election roundup. Thank you very much and goodbye.